Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to talk about the recruitment process when it comes to hardware engineers. So I've been on both sides of the process, recruiting and being recruited. So I'll talk about the experience I have in this after nearly 40 years of being in the hardware job. So I think the recruitment process is broken. And while those opinions are my opinions and they're very subjective, I think there are many people out there which they might share the same opinion. So let me know in the comments. I might be completely wrong. I might be partially wrong. So first of all, I think the process is broken. Why is broken? There are a few reasons why I think it's broken. First, I think it all comes down to being honest. Employers are not honest. Applicants, they are not honest. Recruitment people which are in between, they are not honest. And when I say recruitment people here, it's an HR department which is in the company and outside recruiters. They look like they are making, I wouldn't say mistakes, because I'm not sure if there are mistakes. I think it's a lot of incompetence combined with lack of understanding of what they do. Okay, so why I think it's happening? I think you see out there jobs descriptions or jobs which they are advertised, which they don't exist. So when I say they don't exist, you apply to those jobs and you don't get any answer back. So that means that those companies or recruitment site or whatever they are not keen to recruit. That is a ghost job. That job doesn't exist. It's just an advertisement. It's fake. I would say it's fake and misleading, and this should stop. Okay, so let's call it bullshit jobs, as in not the main description of bullshit jobs, which is a different thing. It was actually a very good book written about bullshit jobs. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about bullshit description. It's just to deceive people. Okay, so now the second type of jobs which are not okay, which are published on those websites, totally unreasonable requirements. And here I'm talking about hardware. I don't know so much about software. I know software, but I don't know about software requirements that much. So I'm talking hardware. So it's strange. You try to read the description of requirements for a job, right? So you find there FPGAs, digital, electronics, analog electronics, writing firmware, gathering requirements from customers. I don't know, prepare the product for EMC testing, writing documentation. It's a long list of things that if you try to understand what kind of person would match that, you end up thinking of at least 4 engineers. So this wonder child of miracle child of the industry, I don't think it actually exists. Now let's assume there is such person. There is a person who fulfill all that list, right? Are they willing to pay the money for such a person? Let's say this magic person exists and he shows up on an interview and everybody's shocked that he has a few white hairs. Of course it has. I mean, you're asking for somebody with 40 years of experience. He's not going to be in his 20s, so you can pay him a low salary. He's going to be an expert in so many fields. Okay, so going a little bit further with this. The perception about hardware engineering, I think it's wrong. I think people, they're oversimplifying the effort to become an expert in hardware. Hardware has developed way beyond people understanding, and complexity is so high. It's not like software. If you learn software development, it's only the technique they changed. The actual thinking, the core of software development, it didn't change. How do I know those things? I started coding since I was 16. right? I'm 56, so I understand coding. The means of coding have changed, but the principles are exactly the same. I mean, new languages, new APIs, new tools, but the core, the way how the brain thinks when it's writing software, it's the same. Well, if you map that into software, into hardware land, it's not the same thing. The PCI Express doesn't work like a microcontroller. The designing chips, digital chips in HDL language has nothing to do with writing firmware. Even if you're still writing code, you sit there on a keyboard. It's not the same thing. They're completely different way of thinking. When you code HDL, you're actually thinking hardware. Everything happens in parallel on every clock edge. When you're writing software, everything is sequential. Okay, maybe not 100% sequential when you have multi-threading and things like that. But usually that's something which is taken care of by the tools. So don't try to map hardware to software when it comes to recruiting. It's not the same thing. It's totally different. Another big difference, in electronics, you are working with physical things. It's physics. That's why you work with instrumentation. You need to have a test bench, you have power supplies, you have wires, oscilloscopes, and a lot of knowledge in between. In software, it's not like this. You're writing code using some tools that you download from the internet. So the entry barrier, it's way lower in software than hardware. To become a very good hardware engineer, you need to spend a lot of time and a lot of money. You need to have a lab. You need to buy boards, chips. Chips that are getting released every week. There are so many manufacturers out there. You need to understand those data sheets. You need to read. You need to keep up. You're like a doctor. You continuously need to improve on your techniques. It's not like software. Software. Why? Look how they teach software. How many YouTube videos you've seen? Learning electronics in 10 minutes. Look how many are in software. Learn Python in 1 hour. Really? I'm not saying that this is bullshit. You can't learn anything in 1 hour. It doesn't matter. Even making bread, you can, which has only a few ingredients. You can't learn in 1 hour. So I think the recruiters and the people which they search for hardware engineers, they need to adjust their expectation, and they need to understand how difficult it is to find a good engineer. And they need to make sure when they are targeting a person, if that person actually exists. It's like, okay, as an employer, of course, I want to bring the best engineer there. But let's say you find the best engineer. Can you keep him there? Can you pay him and keep him interested in the work? Look at those companies which they advertise. They are all searching for highly skilled hardware engineers. But they are not willing to hire people older than 30. Well, you won't find people below 30 which are very highly skilled. That's the way it is, because it needs time to learn those things. It's like, I don't know, you don't need to be very clever to understand this. Okay, so young generation has a very big disadvantage. When I was young, you could join a company and there were many types of engineers there and you learn a lot. You're not going to learn this by going to college. Yeah, you will learn in college, you will learn the theory, you will learn a few things, but the bulk of learning is going to happen on your own. Learning from people which they know those things, learning from manuals, learning from tutorials, learning from whatever. So you need to spend a lot of time on your own or in work, exchanging information with the seasoned engineer. This is how the knowledge transfer is actually happening. Those guys, they've been through this. And they are going to share that with you, so you don't repeat their mistake. This is how you accelerate the learning. Now, if you get into a company where they expect that you are this magic engineer which will take care of everything, you're on your own. So they will never hire somebody in his late 20s, let's say early 30s, and expect that he knows everything and he has no other older colleagues to learn from. He's going to be isolated. So I'm not sure what those companies they're expecting to find and how they're going to attract people Oh yeah, you can attract him with money and with benefits and things like that. He's not going to stay. Another thing, they put on job description, oh, it needs to be creative. It needs to be independent. Independent next to a team player. So they're opposite of each other. But let's go with team player. What that mean, team player? You have to be very good and share your workload with some people which are not that good and be paid the same? Because this is how it sounds to me. But anyway, let's say they have this absolutely complicated and wishful thinking description, right? So do you really think that you are going to find a person which is creative, independent, take initiative, it knows how to build, to make the schematics, the PCB, to go through the manufacturing with that PCB. He knows a little bit of manufacturing. He knows how to go to EMC testing. He knows how to do all this long list. Do you think he's going to stay in your company? He's going to make his own company. If you find such a person, he's probably working in his own company. He's going to make his own shop. So what are the incentives to keep such a person in the company which writes such a, absolutely, wonderful, colorful job description? Zero. I can tell you, zero. He may stay there a while for money or for other perks, but long term, he's not going to stay. So another thing, when it comes to recruitment, why I think it's broken. People which are involved in the recruiting a hardware engineer, they should be your peers in that company, your future peers, right? So who are they? Let's say they want to add another person in the hardware development team. You want people from that team to have a say, to say, yeah, I think I can work with that guy. He looks okay. The immediate manager should know, okay, this is somebody who I can work with. Yeah, he doesn't know this, but he knows that. He should be the decision factor. But guess what? HR department. They are making the first filtering. So when I'm describing HR department, it's a person there which works in HR for so many years, and she's looking at your CV, right? What does she know about engineering? Nothing. So how is going to decide? Oh, it's going to match some terms. So, oh, look, this guy has this guy doesn't have this. Okay, he's here, he's gone. So they're eliminating people with a very shallow judgment. I'll give you an example. I had an interview a few years back for a medical company. So they were making medical devices. And I said, let's have a go. So before we even get to the door, they send me some online tests where you need to match. It was kind of stupid. It was like, I felt stupid anyway. So you had to match a few things, and there were some words there, and you need to associate. It was like, I think it was like a psychological test more than anything. And guess what? I failed. After so many years of electronics, I didn't even get in the door because of that stupid test. But I remember my reaction doing the test. I said, this is stupid. This is completely stupid. Those questions are stupid. And I completely lost interest. And probably that's why I didn't even pass the test. But it was completely stupid. I don't know what was the reason of that test. But anyway, look, I completely failed on that. I said, okay, that's fine. The lady who was driving the whole process, she was 22 years old. So 22 years old failed me with a stupid test, which has nothing to do with electronics. So I said, okay, that's fine, move on. Now, why I got so triggered about this whole process? I think the process is wrong because it's run by the wrong people. LinkedIn, it's a dumb. People which they are independent recruiters, they have no idea what they're recruiting for. They have no idea how to ask for different things when they talk to you. But I think everything starts with the companies and the requirements. I'm not sure who writes those requirements. My understanding is that a manager wants to add a member to his team. He's writing those requirements. How that manager can write such a stupid requirement? Did he really saw that person who knows a million things? I don't think that person actually exists. So I think they are unrealistic requirements. I mean, they're completely detached from reality. So I don't know. I think the whole BS starts with the company, which they try to hire those people. I think they're unrealistic. They try to hire those non-existent engineers. That's my opinion. Okay, so why I got so triggered to make this video? Well, I saw, I don't know how to call it, a video, a video about the new hardware engineers, the hardware engineers of the future. It's called The Jobs of the Future, where hardware meets software. So it's an interview between a lady which has a podcast and a lady who works in recruitment in USA. Now, what she says there horrified me. I downloaded the transcript. She's saying 6 times in this 12 minutes interview, a full stack hardware engineer. Lady, there is no such thing. There is no full stack in hardware engineering. Actually, this is actually in the comments. If you read the comments, some of the comments are actually brilliant. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Now, in fairness, about 60% what she's saying there is correct. And it's okay because it applies to US. There will be those job required in the future because eventually hardware will come back to USA, the hardware development. But I think the optics of the hiring people and recruiters has to change, because hardware is not something that you learn quick. Hardware takes a lot of time to learn, and finding a whiz kid in hardware, you might find here and there one person, but when you need 10, you can't find them. Then you need to have all ages in the company so they can transfer the knowledge. So first of all, companies. What are companies? Companies are a system of working, a system of making money. It's one-man company, one-man show doesn't work. It's not a company. So you need to have multiple ages and expertise, and they need to transfer. If one member of the team leaves, you need, and of course there's going to be a gap there which the company needs to fill. But other people around him, they kind of know what job he was, and they can pick up the slack. Now, what happens in many large companies, a guy left, a seasoned guy left. It was never replaced. Another seasoned guy left. Then some junior engineers, they left because they realized there is nowhere to learn from. So they end up, having many products, and nobody has those products. They don't have owners in the hardware land, and they externalized, and they found some guy on the web which does this and that. But those guys, they don't take ownership. They just do their job and they leave you there. So I think this is something that the company, they need to be serious about. They need to be more honest. The recruiters, they need to be more honest, and they need to respect the time that the hardware engineers they put to get there where they are. Now, I'm going to link the video in the description. It's an interesting video to watch, and I strongly recommend to be watched. But as I said, about 60%, I think she's right. The rest, I don't know what to say. I wouldn't call it bullshit, because I respect that lady that she put she took her time to explain those things the best she could, but I think it's not right. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from it, and I shall see you on the next one.